The battle between Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi has been a battle that I've been really looking forward to ever since it's been built up as the volumes went by. And I think what makes this fight really interesting and more curious as to what's going to happen is that unlike the fight between Ayanokoji and Ryuin, where in that fight it was mostly about who was the strongest fighter, in the battle between Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi, this is all about smartness. Who was more smarter than who? Because remember, Sakayanagi considers herself a natural born genius, whereas she considers Ayanokoji a false genius, someone that wasn't born smart. In fact, they were only created smart because of the White Room. And of course, this is something that she strongly believes. And it wouldn't take long between a battle between them to finally happen, in which this happened in volume 11, aka the event selection exam arc. In this exam, each class had to make up 10 events that they were going to use in order to compete with another class. Now, these events had to be something that can actually be done in the school, and they didn't have to be extremely difficult. And of course, each class had to come up with a set of rules in order to make this event happen. But not only that, but these rules did not have to be too complicated, and it had to be rules that is very understandable and can actually work. Not only that, but the events could be either focusing on physical strength or smartness, whether it's a sports game or an exam that they have to take. That's pretty much the events that they could choose. So there's a lot of possibilities in which what kind of events each class can make, but there has to be someone from each class that has to be commander. This commander will be in charge as to who gets to be in what event and what's the structure and the tactics that they're going to use for the event selection exams. Now, of course, Ayanokoji right away knows that Sakayanagi is going to be the commander for Class A, so therefore he decides to do the battle between him and Sakayanagi in this exam, which leads telling his class that he wants to be the commander. At first, some of the people in the class are kind of skeptical because, well, at this time period, Ayanokoji is still seen as a nobody and nothing really special, and there's nothing really that great about him. However, due to convincing, which involved the argument that Ayanokoji should be the commander because he has the protection point. Remember, Ayanokoji got the protection point after the in-class voting exam because he was the one that got the most praise votes in Class D. So therefore, even though if they were to lose, Ayanokoji wouldn't be expelled, because that's also one thing to mention. Whichever class loses, the commander of that class gets expelled. Now, of course, if you have that protection point, you can instantly use it and you'll be safe and wouldn't be expelled. So after convincing the class, Ayanokoji is the commander of Class D, and thus he is sent to a room with all the other commanders. Unsurprisingly, one of them is Sakayanagi. And at that point, each commander has to draw a lottery to see who gets to pick which class they want to compete. But it doesn't really matter because at that point, Ayanokoji has already decided who they want to compete, and thus he was also able to convince the commander of Class B, which was Ichinose, and the commander of Class C to not pick Class A because he was going to be the one to be competing with Sakayanagi. And it does seem that after it was announced who was going to compete with who, in which Class D was going to compete with Class A, all Sakayanagi did was just smile as if she already knew that Ayanokoji was going to do something in order to make sure that he's the one competing with her. So after it was chosen who was going to compete, there were still many things that Ayanokoji had to deal with, mainly being what is Sakayanagi's plan in this exam. Remember, Sakayanagi is very unpredictable. She doesn't explain her plans all that often, and she doesn't even tell anybody about her plans, not even to the people that she's close with, which are Kamuro and Hashimoto, people who are very loyal to Sakayanagi and do whatever she tells them to do, which makes Ayanokoji wonder what is her strategy in this exam, mainly due to the fact that Class A is mostly having a bunch of people who are good academically. So is Sakayanagi going to have her events mostly be academically, or is she going to include things with physical strength like sports and stuff in order to make sure that her strategy is very unpredictable? But we wouldn't know what her events will be until the day of the event, in which it will be revealed who will be the winner of this battle. Will it be Ayanokoji or Sakayanagi? But before we get into the battle, let's talk about why Sakayanagi wants to battle so badly with Ayanokoji. We have to go to a time period in which Sakayanagi was still a child, in which even at a young age, she still believed that she was a natural born genius, and that natural born geniuses are born like that. They're born to be smart, whereas she believes that whoever tries to be smart or tries to be studying hard and always doing her best to be smart will never be fully smart because they weren't born that way. That was the mentality that Sakayanagi always had. However, one day her dad brings her to a place called the White Room, and while she is impressed what the White Room is trying to do, in which they're trying to create a very smart person and probably the smartest person in the world, basically the White Room tries to create a perfect human being. At the same time, Sakayanagi is not convinced that this is a way to make someone smart, because once again she believes that people are smart once they are born. This whole thing that the White Room is trying to do is something that she doesn't really see as beneficial, because at the end of the day, for her, if you weren't born smart, no matter how hard you try to be a smart person, you're not going to be fully smart because you weren't born that way. You weren't born to be smart, according to her. But at that moment, she spotted a kid that piqued her interest. This person was actually beating everyone at a game of chess. No matter how many people tried to beat him, he would always be successful and win. And after seeing all that, she wanted to know who this person was, which she will later find out would be Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. And after seeing just how good he was at chess, she was fully convinced that they were destined to battle with one another to see who was the better genius, the natural born genius or the false genius, according to her. And for Sakayanagi, it didn't matter how long it was going to take, but one day they will see each other once again and compete in a battle that she wants so badly. Now let's go back to the special event exam, in which at first it doesn't seem like anything special is going on, but it's very clear that both Sakayanagi and Ayanokoji are both hiding their full strength and not showing their full potential. And this would stay that way until the final event, in which it was an event chosen by Sakayanagi, and this event was chess. It seemed that she chose chess because this reminds her of how she saw Ayanokoji during the White Room when he was able to beat everyone in a game of chess. So she decided to do this game of chess because for her this will determine who is the better genius, and the people who were playing the chess at first was Class A Hashimoto and Class D Horikita. At first it's very clear that these two were decent at chess, but that all completely changed because the people who were making the moves were Sakayanagi and Ayanokoji. This is not going to be a simple game of chess because the moves that they were making in this battle was very unexpected and very shocking that even Hashimoto and Horikita were amazed just how skillful these two were at the game of chess. But it does show that these two knew what they were doing, showing just how unpredictable the outcome was going to be. Who was actually going to win? Would it be Ayanokoji or would it be Sakayanagi? But towards the end of the game of chess, Ayanokoji would notice something, but with the very few options he had to make sure to see which was the best option in this certain situation. And thus, towards the end of the game of chess, Sakayanagi actually does beat Ayanokoji. However, after the game of chess and after the exam is over, Sakayanagi comes to Ayanokoji asking what happened towards the end, because it was very clear for Sakayanagi that Ayanokoji actually could have beaten her in that game of chess. But for some reason he made another move that was completely unexpected, and as a result cost him the game. And that's when Ayanokoji revealed that there was something going on during the game of chess, and at first Sakayanagi has no idea what he's talking about, and that is where Tsukishiro reveals himself and the plan to sabotage Ayanokoji. Now he was impressed that Ayanokoji was able to find out what the sabotage is, and the sabotage was that Ayanokoji quickly noticed that when he was making commands to Horikita about the moves towards the final end of the game, he noticed that his commands were being delayed, thus giving an unfair advantage to Sakayanagi, and thus he realized that at this point his game was being sabotaged. So as a result, he decided to make a move that would make it seem that he just made a fatal mistake, but in reality he realized that no matter what was going to happen, he was getting sabotaged. So it was very clear that someone did not want him to win at the end of the day. After this reveal, it's very clear that Sakayanagi was not happy and now labels Tsukishiro as an enemy that she needs to get rid of because of what he did. At this point, it was very clear that at the end of the day, she didn't feel like she actually won this battle because it was being sabotaged, which resulted in her dream battle with Ayanokoji to be completely ruined. And because this is Tsukishiro we're talking about, he didn't really care because he reveals that the only reason why he did this sabotage was to get rid of Ayanokoji's protection point, because once again he wants him to get expelled from the school because he needs to go back to the White Room. After this, Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi decide to go to the library because in the library there's actually a chess set, so they decide to do another battle with the game of chess, and it's revealed that Ayanokoji could have actually beaten Sakayanagi in the chess game, and she's actually impressed. But sadly at the end of the day, this is all just fun and games because the real battle between them was completely ruined. And at the end of the day, now Sakayanagi wants to get rid of this new acting director because he's causing troubles for her dream battles with Ayanokoji. And thus towards the end, the two don't really see each other as enemies for now, because in the end, they managed to take the exam and managed to complete it, which as a result lets them be at the school for another day. And that's the end of the battle between Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi. So overall, really great battle. It just goes to show you how a game of chess could be really intense and just really exciting to see as to who would win. It's very clear that Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi gave it their all, and while it was savage towards the end, we still got to see a really good battle between them. And it's very clear that it's not the end of Ayanokoji's battle with Sakayanagi, because you know very well there's going to be a future battle between these two, but we'll just have to wait and see when this battle is. At the time of recording this, there hasn't been a rematch between Ayanokoji and Sakayanagi, but that could all change in the near future as more volumes come by, and I'm really looking forward as to what's the next battle going to be between these two. But we'll just have to wait and see when that will happen, and hopefully it's a really good battle just like the chess match. And with that, that's pretty much the entire video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.